Okay, my name is Charles Franklin. I'm your grandfather. I'm born in Columbus, Georgia, August 2nd, 1941.
Wow.
Well, my parents married in 1940, so I was born the next 11 months after, and right, and they were products of the Depression, so they grew up with very little, because of the Depression, and in order to they had to have a house, so they bought a house for $1,200. It was $300 down, and that's the house we lived in. It was a shotgun house. That means you could open the front and back door and shoot a shotgun through without hitting anything. We had an ice box instead of a refrigerator. We had a kerosene stove, and the bathroom had been added on to the back porch, and you had to go out on the back porch to go to the bathroom. So at least it had one.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So anyhow, their life was pretty rough up until my dad was drafted, and when I was 2 years old, and they had to leave my mom at home, and she couldn't go to work because, of course, she had to take care of me. And she got sick with strep throat, and back then they didn't have the antibiotics they have now. So she got strep throat, and then I got a strep throat, and then we wound up getting rheumatic fever. It left her with permanent heart damage, and so she took care of me and got me through it. So
Jeez,
it was kind of rough.
Yeah, very incredible of her.
First memories, of course, my mom would tell me about, some things. I would try to write my dad. Well, I couldn't really write because I was just a little child, but I would scribble stuff, and she couldn't even send it in because they would read all the mail that was sent to soldiers, and anything was scribbled, they thought it might be code, and they would never deliver it. So I remember that, and then I remember my dad coming home when I was 4 years old, and seeing him, for the first time in 2 years, and I remember it very, very strongly now. It was quite a great time for me.
Oh, I bet.
He was in what they call the Second Battle of the Bulge, which was the major battle he was in. He went through France into Germany, and that battle was in Germany. But it was toward the end of the war, and a lot of the German soldiers had been killed off at this point, and they had replaced them with young people, actually teenagers, and gave them guns and gave old men guns, and they had to take the place of the military. So he was very upset by the fact that these people were trying to kill him, and you had to shoot back at them to protect your own life, and that was very hard for him to do.
Oh, I bet.
First of all, yes, there were many repercussions because when my dad finally got out, there weren't very many jobs. Even though there were more than before the war, there were still not very many, and any jobs you could get were very menial and only paid like 10 cents an hour. I mean, that was all they paid. And because my mom and I had been sick, we needed to move to a warmer climate. And so we moved to Florida. My dad had an old 1941 old Oldsmobile he'd bought after the war, and that's what we moved to Florida with. And so anyhow, it was a hard life, and Dad took a job working stocking groceries at a food store for 10 cents an hour when we moved to Florida. And there were many times that we didn't know where the food was going to come from. I didn't know where my milk was coming from, and it was very rough on them. And so they had commodity foods, for people that were poor, that was us. They had commodity. You could go pick up free cheese and grits and things like that, but all very fattening things. My dad gained a lot of weight from that kind of food, and it wasn't really the healthiest of food. And my mother later contracted diabetes because of it. And but then, I didn't know the difference. It was food to me. And we ate a lot of fish because fish we could catch and it was cheap. Of course, fish now isn't, but that we ate a lot of it then because we could catch it. And it was a pretty rough life, but I didn't realize it because I was young.
Yeah. Were there any, was your dad affected by going off to a war in any way?
Yeah, well, he had some positive things, actually. He made some extra money. He had been learning to be a watchmaker before he was drafted. And he was almost through. You have to go through a regular process of becoming a master watchmaker. But he was halfway through it when he went in the service. But he was able to buy a little metal lathe in Germany when he was in Germany. And he would make watch parts and repair the GI's watches, people that break their watches. And he was able to make extra money. He would send that home to my mother, and she paid off the house. She was able to pay off. Well, the house was only $1,200, but they were able to pay it off, which was a real big plus. Not to have a house payment when he got back. So that was a good thing, and it had some positive things. One of the negatives is they gave out free cigarettes to the soldiers in their K rations. They had a little pack of cigarettes in every one of them. And my dad started smoking, which he had never done before. And because everybody else did it, he did it too. And
of course.
And became a 2-pack a day smoker, and it eventually killed him. It's just that and the obesity that he had too from the weight. So it had that positive and negative connotation.
Thank you, Papa. This was a very interesting interview.
Thank you. Well, it was good talking to you about it, but it's another positive thing I need to tell you is that, by not having much, you learn how to fix things. So you didn't throw anything away. And my dad would taught me how to repair lawnmowers and anything electrical, and anything that broke, we could fix it. So, in that respect, it was good for us. So it was a hard life. But then he finished his education on a GI Bill and became a watchmaker. And from there, he, with friends in church, he became hired to be the city clerk for the city, and he did well after that financially. So it was a hard life, hard work, but we succeeded in spite of it all.
It is interesting, though, that has carried on to my lifetime, because when we have something broken, we'll just like, yo, Papa, can you fix this? And then you'll be like, all right, let me sew it up real quick or something like that. So it's very fun.
Well, that was a necessity. We had to do it then, yes. So we did learn that, correct.
All right, well, I appreciate talking to you a lot.
It was very good talking to you, too. Well, you have a great day.
You too. Talk to you later.
Bye.